So can you tell me if you can see? Fantastic. Well, thanks again, everybody. Apologies for some technical hiccups. Just want to make sure we've got a couple of windows open. Brilliant. Well, welcome to Academy XI's first AI webinar series. We hope to run this every single month, and we're lucky enough today to be joined by Leola, which I will introduce in a second. But first and foremost, I wanted to acknowledge country. So I'm coming to you from the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, based in Melbourne. And I would like to pay my respect to the elders past and present and emerging, and extend that acknowledgement and respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who joined us today. For people who don't know who Academy XI is, we're an education company, and we have a very simple mission. Our mission is to transform the world through education by empowering a community of change makers with the skills to create waves of change throughout the globe. And we have a range of portfolio of products that we offer to both enterprise and consumers, in the business space, in the technology space, and the design space. We've been around for over 10 years. We're based in Sydney. I'm coming to you from Melbourne, but we actually train people over the globe. And we're very proud of the work that we do, and we have great feedback as well. Now, the reason we're running these sessions is, as we know, Academy XI and, well, general AI is becoming the new wave of emerging tech that's getting everybody excited. And I think it's very imperative for us to be able to educate the community in terms of the powers and potentially risks associated with artificial intelligence. But we're very lucky today, and we've got Leola joining us. So Leola is a friend of Academy XI, but she's a seasoned marketer, and she's got over 2 decades of experience in both global enterprise, professional services, and startups. She's a founder of Small Marketing, and I'm sure she'll talk about it in a second. And she started that company back in 2022, and she's at the forefront of AI in marketing. She's a thought leader in the AI for marketing space, and she's been kind enough to give us her time today and to share her wisdom and knowledge. And she's also a mentor and a coach and a friend of Academy XI, as I've said. And one thing I didn't know, which I found out by getting Leola's, what do you call it, her bio, is that she's actually met Barack Obama, and she's done that because she was lucky enough to support the digital marketing strategy for his tour in Sydney and Melbourne. And so I'd like to know a little bit more about that, Leola, when we get the chance. Without further ado, I'm going to stop my screen sharing, and then hopefully, Leola, you won't have as much technical issues that I've had this morning, and you'll be able to share your screen with us. Are you there, Leola? Can you hear me?
I can. What just happened? Was that me that just dropped off?
I'm not sure.
You froze a little bit, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And we are recording this session for people who are on the call.
Perfect. So is that over to me now?
Yes, hopefully.
Sorry, guys, I missed that whole thing. You know, technical difficulties will always happen on Zoom, and especially when you're live is when they will happen the most. I almost guarantee it. So thank you, Amir, for the intro. I'm going to share my screen now. So guys, can you please confirm when you can see my screen?
Yeah. Okay.
I did also see something in the chat. It is a live webinar, and because of the webinar feature on Zoom, that's why you can't see participants. That's just how Zoom works. So without further ado, this is going to be a completely packed session. Amir, ask me questions. Feel free to jump in. Thinking, if the audience is thinking it, or if you're thinking it, maybe someone else is thinking it. So just feel free to interrupt me. Try to ask any questions via chat, and I will try to address them. But I know that if there is time at the end, we will get through to Q&A as well. So
Great.
Feel free to ask any questions at the end. So without further ado, let's just jump into the agenda. So there's a couple of points that I'm going to talk through. I'll go through some basic AI tool do and don'ts. We also go through some AI-driven content creation for enhanced SEO, so ways that you can use AI to improve your SEO. We talk a little bit about the personalizing user experience with AI-driven content. So that specifically is around audience segments and making sure that the content is correct for your audience. And then we touch a little bit on marketing performance analytics using AI, which is probably the most fun thing for me to do. I love analytics. I love data. So we're going to go through all of this stuff. So just before we start, we won't be going through any specific tools. And the reason for that is because there are so many available. But generally speaking, AI tools do relatively similar things in terms of like for marketing specific. So I'm not going to go through tool specific. This session's focus is to give you ways of introducing AI tools and activities introducing AI tools into activities that you're already doing. So that's the focus. It's to give you ideas. Again, I'm not a technical person. I made this term up, but I'm an AI ideas generator. So I don't know if it's a great word, but I'm going to say it, AI ideas generator. So let's get into it. So couple of do's and don'ts. So let's just start. Do provide detailed inputs. So when I'm talking about detailed inputs, you're talking about specifically about what you're writing and you're asking AI. So I'll go into a little bit of an analogy later, but do provide detailed inputs. If you're going to take the time to use AI tools, like whether it's for content creation, blog writing, emails, whatever it is, take the time to give it as much context as you can, because if you're going to save time in terms of actually sitting there writing something, it's best to spend the time giving AI tools the best context that you can. Do use AI for data analytics. So you can leverage AI tools to sift through marketing data and to identify trends and insights that can form strategy and decision-making later on. And I'll show you a little bit of how to do that. Do review and edit AI outputs. Now, one of the important things, and I'm sure a lot of AI people will tell you this as well, is that the outputs in AI is not going to always be 100% accurate. You need to review it, you need to check it. And you need to make sure if you're using it on in a business perspective, you need to make sure that those processes are built into AI enhanced work as well in terms of the quality check part of your business. Do experiment and learn. So use AI tools as a learning platform to experiment. And I talk at the end of this session, I'll talk a little bit about A/B testing in terms of marketing, right? Use AI to develop multiple headlines for campaigns and then test which one works the best. Couple of don'ts. So don't simply copy and paste from AI tools. This is exactly what I was talking about in the do section. Unless you've had significant input into the copy, don't copy and paste it, because I could go on for a very long time in terms of this don't. But what I mean is go back and forth with AI tools in terms of copy. It's easy to want to copy and paste, but use a little bit of your own thought and detail into how, I guess, how much of that copy you take. If you don't get the desired outcome from an AI tool, don't just quit. Keep asking it questions, provide it more input. Don't say that, a lot of my colleagues that have used AI tools always say, oh, but it doesn't give me the answer that I want, or it doesn't do what I need it to do. Well, that's probably because you didn't provide it the context that it needs. So again, it's all about the context that it's given. Don't upload any sensitive data. I'm sure that you've heard it in the news. Just be careful what you do upload into various AI tools. We're still at a stage where we're still learning the capabilities of AI tools. So always use caution. Don't upload personal details. If you want to upload data, remove the personal details from it so that you can upload it, things like that. And finally don't ignore the importance of testing. Again, this is what I said about A/B testing. Don't ignore that some things will work, some things won't work. We have I talk about failing fast. So try many different things and then see what does and doesn't work. So just a couple of do's and don'ts. So we're going to keep going. So this is what I was talking about in terms of input and context, right? This is an analogy that I've just made up. think of AI tools like a large filing cabinet, huge filing cabinet. Now it's full of information ready to sift through when asked a question. So the more context and information that you can put into this filing cabinet, the more information that it has to give you the best result that it can. It only knows what it already knows. AIs don't know everything. It knows a lot. It doesn't know everything. So for example, let's use Academy XI. So for example, if you guys have your UX course, you might want to upload all of the content about your UX course into an AI tool, then ask the AI tool about that UX course. Like you can't ask it about something without knowing or without the context. I'm confusing myself. I understand that that's a lot to understand. Amir, can you help me and articulate what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, absolutely. So with any large language model, it can go by the information it's trained on, right? And by general nature, the large language models are trained on just generic content available on the web. But what you can do is what they call, you can fine tune that model by uploading, let's say, your course material, your website, your T's and C's, your product disclosure statements, whatever content that you've got. And then you can use the language model to query the content and the information that you've been provided it.
Love that. Fine tune. That's the perfect word for it. I love it. I love it. And this is why I'm not technical and Amir is. So let's just jump straight into the topic. So I'm going to go through AI content for enhanced and improved SEO. Now, before we jump into what that means exactly, let's just quickly touch base on how SEO works. I'm not going to read this whole slide, but basically SEO, is the practice of increasing quantity and quality of traffic to your website, specifically organic search to your website. So you need to make sure that the content and your website is relevant, it has authority, and it's got technical optimization. So in terms of relevance, we're talking specifically about, does your website content have the specific thing that the searcher is looking for? Authority, is your brand and website trustworthy? And technical optimization, is your site structured in a way that Google or such other search engines can search it efficiently enough? Basically, that's what SEO is. So in terms of AI for content creation, we're kind of playing in the relevance space. We're just trying to make our content on our website relevant to what people are searching in say, Google. So what does that mean exactly? It means that AI tools can significantly automate the generation of content ideas and the formulation of keyword strategies. I'll come to this in a second. So we're saying that the process not only targets relevant keywords, but also uncovers other keywords and niche topics that drive targeted organic traffic, where you can use AI to identify topics, perform keyword research, and analyze search intent. And then finally, this helps in crafting content that aligns with SEO best practice. So basically what we're saying here is that we can use AI to find keywords that people are using, or if we already know what the keywords are. So say, for example, we download our keyword search queries from, say, Google Analytics or Google Search Console. We already have a list of all of the keywords that people are coming to our website for. So basically you're looking for, what are people already coming to the website, and then exacerbating or emphasizing those keyword terms. So if, these keywords here is what drives people to your website, let's use those keywords, build our SEO content based on these keywords so that we can attract more people. Okay. So how do we do that? We identify the topics. So we can use AI to discover trending topics and hidden opportunities in keywords. So what's that? What it's saying is, all right, well, say your keyword or your top keyword that's being searched on Google is looking for the perfect size jeans, right? And you want people to find you based on that term. Then you can say into an AI tool, all right, well, this is the term that I want. How can I use this term to build out my SEO content? How can I use this term across my website in multiple ways, multiple different themes in my website to improve my search engine ranking? Now, the problem that this solves is that, if you're in a marketing department and the challenge that you guys are having is you don't have a lot of organic traffic coming to the website, or you need to improve your organic traffic for this specific segment, this is where I would use this. Secondly, then you go through a search analysis phase. So you can analyze and match content with the specific search intents of your audience. When I say search intents, let's just focus on keywords for now. So if somebody is searching, blue jeans on Google, then you might want to write specifically about blue jeans. Now, you can use an AI tool to give you various topics about blue jeans that might give you a number of different blogs or a number of different campaign headlines or a number of different Google terms that you can write about. And then finally, talking about content creation. So 1, you identify the topics. 2, you then analyze and match the content that you want with those topics, and then you go ahead and you can create all of those all of that content. So there's a couple of steps there to go through, but that's one of the ways that AI can help. Amy, before I jump onto the next topic, anything that you want to add or questions that you might have?
No, so far so good, and no one's actually put anything in the chat, so please continue.
All right, perfect. So let's keep going. Personalizing the user experience with AI-driven content. So what does that mean? Now, we can focus on the customization of content to meet the unique needs and preferences of different audience segments. So basically what we're talking about here is different segments, right? So you might have multiple products or multiple services that might be geared towards different audiences, right? So you know that somebody that wants to, I'm just trying to think of a brand, and I can't stop thinking about Academy XI because that's all that's what I'm looking at right now. Academy XI has multiple courses. You might talk differently to somebody that wants to study UX versus somebody that wants to study cybersecurity, right? 2 completely different audiences. So that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about different audience segments. This emphasizes using AI to analyze user data to create these experiences. So for example, again, we talk about Google Analytics. Hopefully you guys are all, using GA4 and are across what those analytics look like and what that can provide. So for example, you might start to look at analytics data in terms of behavior, demographics, preferences. You also might have user data in your CRM, for example. You might have ages, genders, locations, where they live, all that kind of stuff. So, a bunch of different data points that tell you about your audience or your ideal audience. Then we can also identify how to leverage that data to create content and make it more relevant to each visitor to improve conversion rates. So let's just jump in terms of how, or the 3 steps that we can do that. So 1, again, it's all about data analysis. Use data to understand behavior, demographics, and preferences. Again, GA4 data. You can also look at website data. If you don't already, CRM data is probably the most important. So for example, when people are filling out forms, if you capture all of that detail, start to, analyze who your customer is by audience segment. So you might have segment A, B, C, and they might look, different in terms of demographics. I'm not, I can't explain to you what that looks like without using a specific example, but again, in Academy XI's case, UX person might look different to a cybersecurity person. So just think about different audiences. Then once we define what who person or who audience A, B, and C is, we can start to look at content customization. So then tailoring content to individual performances for more relevant experiences. And then, of course, you should start to see engagement growth. If you're feeding somebody that wants to see UX courses, information about cybersecurity courses or information about, mechanical engineering courses, they're not going to be interested in that necessarily. They might be, but not generally speaking. They're more interested in UX courses, design courses, that kind of thing. So this is kind of what AI can help with. Now, just put AI to the side for a second. This process is not new, right? This is what marketing has been doing for decades. So AI, yes, we humans can do all of this on our own. Absolutely. This is literally what I've been doing for the past 20 years, but AI tools can help fast track it all. So I'm not saying that this is, introducing AI into your strategy is a new thing in terms of what you're doing. AI is just helping you do it more efficiently in my eyes. I use AI tools all the time. I'm a marketing person. I've started marketing a very long time ago. And can I do all of this? And you know, teams can do this. But what I've found in my experience is that AI can just help you just do things so much faster. And I have a significant input in terms of what the AI generates, in terms of the input that I give it. So when it generates themes, topics, ideas, I generally have had a lot of human interaction or human input into the outcome that I'm getting. So again, AI tools is not trying to, in this instance, in talking about marketing, I'm not trying to reinvent what you're doing. I'm just trying to help you do it a little bit faster. So moving on to the next topic. Anything else, Amir, before I jump to the next?
No, I've got a pre-canned question that I've been thinking about at the back of this, but I might wait till the end.
Sounds good. All right, marketing performance analytics using AI. So this one is, I know that a lot of people use AI at the moment, especially in marketing for content creation. So analytics might be something that you're less inclined to do. So hopefully after this session, you might want to play around with AI tools and analytics. So what does that mean? We can explore the use of AI in analyzing vast amounts of data to unearth insights by customer behavior, campaign effectiveness, and marketing ROAS. It also stresses the importance of analytics in making data-driven decisions. And finally, there we can focus on performance analytics to identify trends, optimize marketing budgets, and enhance campaign strategies based on data. So longer the days, are over where marketing people sit around in a group and just shoot ideas at each other and give their own personal opinions about things. We have data. So data is not new. Again, what I was saying before, none of this is new. You all should be using data-driven insights to inform your campaigns, to improve your performance and optimize, you know, various marketing tactics. That isn't new. AI can just help you do that, again, a little bit more efficiently. So let's just jump into it. Why would you use AI for marketing performance analytics? So one of the problems that you might have is, I don't know how to read the data, and again, marketing people are not data analysts, right? So some of them are, some of us are. I understand data, I love data, but some marketing people, they're not, you know, innately data driven, and that's okay. Like, I mean, we don't have to be. We have tools like this to support. So let me just quickly go through data collection. We can gather marketing performance data from multiple sources. Again, GA4, CRM, spreadsheets, whatever it might be, multiple sources. Then using that data, we can use AI tools to uncover trends and insights for strategic decisions. And then finally, strategy optimizations. Once we understand that insights, we can then refine our marketing strategies for improved ROI and efficiency. So basically, what that is saying is that, and I guess I'll give a bit of a practical example of how I would use it. I often use ChatGPT specifically I download data from GA4. So for example, I look at landing pages and where people have come from. So I'll say, all right, where have all these people come from in terms of their source, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, direct, organic, paid, all that kind of stuff. So your default channel groupings. And then I'll say, all right, what pages are they landing on? Okay. So then I just plug it in. I just, you know, download the CSV straight into ChatGPT. Tell me what is the most popular websites, where are they coming from? And yes, I can see this all on my own without AI, absolutely. But it's just so much faster if I just plug it into a thing and into ChatGPT and it just tells me. So that's one thing. Then I actually can get CRM data and I can say, okay, well, based on sales, tell me what source is delivering sales. Right? So that actually is the end-to-end. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole technical marketing end-to-end process, but that is one thing that you can do. So I've got a little in my notes here. I've got a little, did you know that you can enter data into ChatGPT and ask for its analysis, then add another data set and ask for its analysis of both. So for example, if you're good at, say, analyzing GA4 data, and you also have CRM data, which includes all the way to sale, you can actually pop those both into ChatGPT and say, analyze both and tell me how both relate. So again, ChatGPT can do loads of things with data, but to my first point when I started the webinar, check the data. If there are insights that are coming out, check it. Sometimes, and I have had this happen to me, where the data has, so ChatGPT or any AI tool has given me incorrect information. It's calculated some rate, conversion rate, engagement rate incorrectly. So don't trust it blindly. I know that's hard to say or hard to understand if we're saying use AI tools, but don't trust it. So there's balance to these things, all right? So just be cautious, I guess, is my advice to you. So those are the three main topics that I'm going to go through, but I will bring all of those things together. So let's see how all of those three topics combine and synergize to make marketing excellence. So I've created this Venn diagram where we talk about AI-driven content at the top there, personalized user experience on the left, finally, with marketing performance analytics, and then that converges to marketing excellence, I guess. Now we talk about targeted content, driving organic traffic. I'm just basically repeating myself, personalization, boosting user engagement, and then finally refining strategies. So smart insights make for better outcomes. And what does that also mean? That also means that we can transform insights into action. So all of those insights that you see coming from AI tools, they then, improve our strategies and get better sales results. So this is, I guess this, or what I've gone through today, would maybe sit in the lead gen part of the marketing, right? It's about feeding the sales team. We use AI insights to inform content personalization. We have data-driven decision-making, which enhances our marketing return on ad spend. And then that in turn increases sales and customer loyalty. It makes for better user experiences. It makes for, ensuring that customers or leads get the content, the information that they'd like to see from you, and just better sales and better lead quality, right? So we're just closing the group here, closing the loop here, better insights, better action, and better growth. So we're finally moving towards the tail end here. And I wanted to just give you a couple of pro tips for implementing AI into your business or into your, your marketing day-to-day for yourself. I often get asked this question. I think Amir will touch on this later, but use the tool that best suits you. So for example, when ChatGPT came out, Bard also came out, which is now called Gemini. Like the rate of change in AI is so fast. So, one thing was there yesterday and now it's not there today, or it's changed. So Gemini and ChatGPT, let's talk about those two for a second. Let's talk about content. Marketing specific content. If you want to use an AI tool to write a blog, and you ask somebody, is ChatGPT or Gemini better to write a blog? My answer will always be, use the one that works for you. So for example, if you like the style that ChatGPT writes after you've given it the prompts, after you've given it the content, and you give the exact same context information to Gemini or Bard as well, and then it delivers two different outcomes, use the one that you like the best. Use the one that you think will work the best for your audience. It's not necessarily this is a better tool, this is a better tool. Yes, of course, this is a better tool for XYZ and this one's a better tool for XYZ. Of course, there's going to be different pros and cons for each one. But at the end of the day, you're writing for your audience. So always just use the one that works the best for you. That's the best advice I can give. Secondly, start small and scale up in the same area is my personal and experienced advice that I'd give you. AI is huge. There are so many things that you can do in AI, right? There's, you can help it improve writing. You can implement chatbots. You can update data. There's just, my mind is, blows up in terms of when I think of all of the AI capabilities that we have right now. It's scary actually to think about how much there is to do. So it's very easy to be overwhelmed. I too am overwhelmed with how much availability there is. So my advice in this instant is to start small, whether that's help it to improve your SEO, start there, master that, or not master it, but get really good at that, implement that section into your workflow, make sure that everyone's on it, and then start something else. Just get really deep into one feature is my advice to you. So start small, scale up later. Finally, again, I will never, ever not tell marketers to A/B test. A/B testing is by far best practice across the board. And it also goes hand in hand with AI. AI can give you multiple variants for different things. So one of the things that I have used AI tools for is to develop Google campaigns. So when you're developing a Google AdWords campaign, you can look at developing multiple headlines, multiple descriptions, multiple ad sets, all that kind of stuff. Use them. Use either, you know, the three that you like the best, that you personally like the best. Great. Use those three. Maybe this, you know, maybe number one doesn't work very well. Okay, that's great. After, you know, whatever testing period you have, turn that one off. Use the other two. Always test results. Again, don't trust anything blindly. That also goes outside of AI tools. That also goes to your, you know, your creativity. You know, this image might look better than this image in your opinion. Okay, test both. You know, always test what is best for your audience, not just because your team likes it, right? So make sure that you're always testing is my biggest thing. So in terms of what I was going to go through, that's kind of it. But I have left you here with a free prompt guide download. So please go ahead and scan that. Basically, what that is just a PDF template, and it goes through a couple of things that you can input into a ChatGPT or a Gemini to increase the, I guess, efficiency and the how good your blog might be. A couple of points there in terms of what you should ask. So for example, what's your objective of the blog? You know, what tone would you like to write the blog in? Who's your target audience? All of those kinds of questions. So feel free, it's a free download. Go ahead and download it and try and add it to your blog writing and see if you get anything out of it. But that's it from me. That went way faster than I thought it would. So I think we have time for Q&A. Amir,
Absolutely.
I haven't seen the chat either, so
I'm across it. At the moment, no one has posted anything, but thank you. I've got a couple of questions I was going to ask you.
yeah.
While I do that, please, audience, if you've got any questions, technical, non-technical, please put it into the chat or the Q&A. It doesn't matter, and I'll expose it to Leola or myself.
I'll stop sharing as well now too, guys.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got a couple of questions for you. You mentioned about how you're currently using, ChatGPT and the likes. In your day-to-day, right? Yeah, which tools are you using? What does your day-to-day look like? And how prevalent is any of the AI tools you're using? Just so that the audience gets a sense.
Yeah, good question. And I think this question is great because, people think that once they introduce an AI tool into your arsenal, into your marketing arsenal, that you're just on AI tools all day, every day. For me personally, that's not the case, right? Like, so in my roles or in my client facing roles, I do a lot of strategic work. So I might use, I guess it's more at a tactical level that I would start to use AI tools. In terms of strategy, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, experience-based. But when I'm talking about tactical, so again, thinking of Google AdWords. Google AdWords is I use AI tools almost exclusively for Google AdWords. I just think it's fantastic. Another pro tip that I'll quickly drop is that you can actually just input your URL, so a website, into a ChatGPT or a Gemini and ask it to look through it and figure out what are the best keywords I should be bidding on. I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean, again, humans can do that, but it's just so much more efficient and so easy. My mind blows at how easy it is to do this stuff now. So again, to answer your question, I mean, I use it more in the tactical level. So if that's writing a blog, yes, I use ChatGPT to write blogs and write long form content. I put significant input into it. So when I write or when I ask a tool to write a long form piece back, I will write dot points. I will write questions and answers. I will tell it who I want this audience, who I want the blog to be read by, what I want that person to do, what I need the audience to feel. So loads of things, loads of input. So again, it's hard to answer. I mean, I can't give you a percentage in terms of day-to-day, but it's definitely on a tactical level. So more day-to-day activity. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does. Thank you. And I think Jake asked a really good question, which you've covered, but I'll ask it again anyway. You mentioned being direct and descriptive and use your own material and data, so long as it's not sensitive, obviously. I agree in terms of helping me analyze, but also find this less helpful for helping generate content with my voice and tone. Curious to know your thoughts here, and if you use different tactics, for example, to generate different voice and tone that matches with your brand or client's brand and guidelines. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and voice and tones is a thing that you have to ensure. I mean, if you've ever used a chat GPT or a whatever and you've asked it to write something. Oh, Facebook post is a classic thing, right? So if you've asked it to write a social media post and it comes back with loads of emojis, lots of dot points, and all of the hashtags are in proper case, you know 100% that it's a AI written article. And I see it on LinkedIn all the time. Those are not, I mean, that's what everyone's doing, and that's where everyone's going to go. But if you want to make sure that it's a little bit more personal, a bit more tailored to who you are, or what your brand voice and tone is, you have to give it an example. You have to tell it what the voice and tone is that you need. So for example, I mean, I'm going to give away my hints here, but in terms of small marketing, I've created a custom GPT. I don't know if you're using custom GPTs, I'd love to know. Put them into the webinar chat, drop your URLs in there. But I've created a custom GPT, which is private to me, and I've called it I Am Small Marketing. So basically it is my stuff. So I've put in, all of my FAQs, I've put in my website, I've put in my personal bio, I've put in, things that I've written, and it has all of my personal and my business information inputted into that. And I've said, every time you write something, write it in the tone and voice of Google. Because I love how simple Google is in terms of writing. Google, for me, Google writes very simplistically. It's very direct. It's very clean. There's no jargon. And so when I have a ChatGPT write for me in terms of a blog, social post, whatever that might be, I've told it to innately always write like Google. So one of the tricks that I've also used is if you know of a famous person that you like the tone of. So I'm going to throw this one back in because it's a subtle flex, but Barack Obama, right? So I did get to meet him, by the way, and I think I dropped off in the beginning of the webinar when you just mentioned him, and that was, I mean, whether you like the guy or not, it was just it was an amazing experience, and he is all of the things. So I like how he talks. I mean, granted, it is very well scripted. He's a politician, but I just like the way he talks. So I have used him in some of when I've gotten help to write my speeches, write like Barack Obama. And I've just used that. And, is that cheating? Maybe, but it's my words. But I want to mimic certain brands' style and voice. I hope that answers your question in some way, Jake. Sometimes I rattle off a little bit too much.
No, that's Leola. Hopefully it does, but look, you're to the point, and I can probably add to that, Jake. If you've got with ChatGPT, we've talked about, most people think they're using it, but the 3.5, which is the free version, is actually quite limiting in what it can do. It's great at generating content. Obviously, you got to give it lots of like prompts and examples and so forth. But and you can do that, right? You can take a copy of your brand guidelines or your tone of voice and upload that and go, well, it'll be in sort of copy paste format, and go, right, write me a blog. This is an example of the tone of voice that I want. But if you get the paid version of ChatGPT or GPT-4, it allows you to actually upload files, a PDF, a PowerPoint, an Excel or CSV file, as Leola's mentioned prior. So then if you've got a branding guidelines or a PDF, you can actually upload that and go, hey, in effect, what you're doing is fine-tuning this large language model. Go, right, I want you to act as a marketer. You're about to produce a Facebook post around blue jeans or UX courses in my company, Academy XI. I would like you to write a 300 or 500 word Facebook post or blog or whatever, and I want you to align with this branding guidelines that I've just given you. And it does an amazing, phenomenal job of attaching, and aligning to that, because that's what it's designed for. It's a large language model. It's all about language and words. And by you uploading examples, in effect, what you're doing is fine-tuning that model to be able to respond based on the prompts you've given it. So yeah, that's a really good example there, Leola.
And just to your point, Amir, I should have mentioned before that I only use the paid version of ChatGPT. I've used it for many, many months now. So I think when it first came out, I started using that one. There are loads more features. I think that the 3.5 versus, so the paid versus unpaid, I think the paid is superior. Like it's noticeably different. So if you're tossing up between wanting to get the paid or not, and you actively use ChatGPT for things, I would absolutely, if you can afford it, absolutely get it. No questions.
Yeah. And look, we're not endorsed by OpenAI, by the way, but I'd liken in the workshops that I run and fundamentals training that we run at Academy XI, I liken the 3.5 version to 4 version to be the same as a Toyota Corolla versus a Ferrari, right? It's markedly different. It has a lot more power. It's a lot more relevant, and the context window is a lot bigger. So just quickly, when we talk context window, think of that as the amount of memory it can hold for information before you ask it a question. And now with the new models of Google Gemini and Anthropic, Claude, and so forth, you can now upload hundreds and hundreds of pages. And in fact, with the most recent version of, I think, Gemini, you can upload an entire book, right? And then ask it questions about the book. So it's phenomenal in terms of the amount of information they can store.
And I think this is going back to what we were talking about before as well, Amir, in terms of the tool it only knows what it knows, right? So the more you can upload, the more information you can give it, the better outcome you'll always get. So
yeah, great. And again, just be mindful of sensitivity. Anything that you upload to any of these tools by default does get used to train and to train for future versions of the model. So if the information is sensitive, if you've got a paid version of ChatGPT or what they call the enterprise or the Teams version, for example, you can actively tell it not to train on information that you upload, or you control the amount of security and privacy. Or if you use the API versions of some of these tools, then it by default won't train on the information you give it. But be mindful of not providing custom information or any PII information.
Yeah.
We've got another question for you, Leola. I wanted to ask you all my questions, but it looks like we're going to be, we've got the audience asking questions. Paul has asked, and it's all about Gen Zs and millennials. How can you use AI for Instapost and marketing for that demographic where video content is king? Any thoughts there?
Look, I don't know too much about creating videos using AI, so I'm not going to touch on that. What I will touch on is, I guess, performance, right? So for this specific question, I would use AI. So for example, if your product service is geared towards Gen Z or millennials or whatever generation your audience is, one of the things that I would do is review or look at the data that you have. So if you're already advertising on Instagram, for example, I would start to look at the performance data that you can get out of it. So looking at what videos are performing well, who's the demographic or who's the audience that are looking at your videos. I would also take that all the way through to sales. So are they doing the thing that you want them to do? Because we all know views doesn't equal sales. So look at the sales, look at have a look at that full end-to-end journey, right? So what piece of video is creating the sale? And you can use, again, a human could do this, but you can use AI tools to just do it much faster, right? And do it without you thinking. So I personally would use AI tools to review the data and the performance of existing AI tools to help inform what next video to use. That's my personal, in terms of, not knowing too much about video AI. I mean, Amy, can you add to that one?
Yeah, of course. Who was it? It was Paul that asked the question. Paul, we're not far off having generative AI tools that allow you to, using text prompts, generate entire movies. And I'm not kidding. Now, if you get some time after this session, just Google OpenAI's Sora, Sora. I'll put it into the chat just now. And they've just released it recently. It's basically using text prompts to generate video up to almost a minute long. And when you look at some of these videos, for example, a car, a four-wheel drive running through the desert with smoke billowing in the back, or a professional female in Tokyo walking in a street that's just rained on, you'll see some of the videos, or puppies, golden retriever puppies rolling around snowflakes and fighting each other. It's phenomenal what you see. You can almost, to be honest, if you see those videos and I hadn't told you they come from like a generative AI, you'd think they're real. So there's some tools out there already that you can use. There's other organizations.
Canva has text to video already. Yeah.
Correct. Canva. You've got was it Leonardo.ai? You got Anthropic. You've got all these organizations. Obviously, the tools are often paid, and soon in fact, if not already, you'll be able to generate some of those content and images. It just comes down to being very clear to the audience that you're producing that it's an AI generated piece of content.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can I add to that, Amir? I think it's really important for marketers, especially, we have a responsibility to be really transparent in terms of what is and isn't AI. So, whenever I've used an AI image, I've labeled it as such. When I've written a blog, at the bottom of the blog, I write AI enhanced. Human generated AI enhanced. That's what I say, because that's what it is. I think it's important. I don't know how, businesses will do that, but I think it's important to be transparent in terms of what is and isn't AI generated or AI enhanced, let's call it.
Yeah, great. There's another question that Jessica asked, and I'll probably just quickly answer this one. Do you offer AI courses? Well, yeah, Academy XI, we're a education company, and I've just put it into the chat before. We run half day and full day sort of AI fundamental courses, as well as courses for leaders, which is not technical, or specific AI related courses for, let's say, sales and marketing, designers, like product designers and UX experts, or operations team and so forth. So absolutely we do, but I'm not sure. Leola, do you offer any sort of training as well?
Yeah, I do, for smaller businesses. I mean, I've facilitated a number of webinars and workshops. I've done specifically a startups workshop at Fishburners, where people come with their laptops and we literally go through and build practical things. So yes, for smaller business, I can absolutely come to your marketing team and help you build out specific AI practical activities. So yeah, feel free to, connect with me on LinkedIn.
And also Leola has worked with us in the past as well. So we're very much aligned in terms of what we can offer to the market. I had a couple more questions. Look, we still got 12 minutes, so I'm going to ask you these questions. Okay. Robots are taking over our world, and they're going to look after, take over our jobs, right? This is the constant, sentiment you hear out in the public. And so, everyone is worried about their jobs from an AI perspective. What would you say to those marketing professionals who are potentially, or graduates that are worried about potentially becoming obsolete because the people who've got access to AI are going to be able to do their jobs, or AI itself will be able to do their jobs?
Yeah, and I get the trepidation, right? Like, AI tools are coming in and all of a sudden people are saying, oh, I can write all of this. Well, does that make writers obsolete? Does that make social media people obsolete? I don't think it makes anyone obsolete, to be honest. I think that AI is now another tool that marketers need to master. Just like any tool, just like Microsoft, just like Google, just like Google AdWords, GA4, just like Adobe, Canva, whatever it is. I feel like AI is just a tool. You don't say that a hammer can build a house, right? Like it needs help to build a house, right? So a hammer is a tool. AI is also just a tool. So if you don't jump on board, or if you don't understand AI from a marketing perspective, then I think, yes, you will become left behind. I don't think you'll become obsolete. I think you'll become less, what's the word? Not relevant, but there will be more relevant people, or there will be people that have more skill than you. But that's with any tool, right? So again, think of AI as a tool that you need to add to your arsenal. Understand what it can and can't do for you in your functional area. But AI is here to stay. it's scary as hell because it just changes so fast. I think, again, with my point before, start small, introduce it into your workplace in a small area that's relevant to you, to your function, that supports your business. But I don't think that people are going to become obsolete. I just think that people that don't use AI will become less relevant. And that's kind of a harsh way to put it, but I think that you just need to understand and learn, jump on AI tools. It's like me saying, can I become a marketer without understanding? Marketing is so vast. That was a horrible analogy because there's so many things. So yeah, just get onto it. Learn about AI.
Yeah, the quote that I often give to students that we run our workshops with is, AI won't take over your jobs, but the people who use AI will.
Yeah.
Or likewise from a business perspective, AI won't take over businesses, but businesses that are utilizing AI potentially will. So, and there's some stats that suggest, I think McKinsey did some research, and some other those global agencies that said, over the coming years, 23% of jobs will change.
Yeah.
Now, what does the change mean? It means 23% potentially will disappear, but 23% new jobs will get created at the back of this technology. And so the people who are using these tools now, hence the people in these workshops and these webinars, are well placed because they'll be able to use these tools and enhance their skills so they can adapt to the new skills and new tasks that need to be created in the future. So basically, taking your head out of the sand, I think, is the first step, and then starting to explore some of these tools is, I think, really good
Can I just
start.
quickly add to that one, Amir? When people are worried, AI can automate loads of efficient tasks, right? That's probably where businesses want to start to, remove, the repetitive tasks that AI can actually do. If you're part of that, if a part of your role gets automated by AI, try not to look at it as, oh, that part of my role was taken away. Try to look at it as in, okay, well, now I've got X amount of hours spare in my workday. Now I can focus on this strategic thing. Now I can focus on this big picture thing. Now I can move this project forward. So try not to be disheartened by AI taking over this part of your job. Look at it as, okay, now what else can I improve? So I guess it's just a different, change of mindset.
100%. Another question from a Rebecca, and I can answer this, but also Leola.
I was going to say I can't answer that one, so go ahead.
Oh, you can't answer this one. Yeah. So how do you navigate legals and compliance around usage of those videos generated? And I will probably expand your question, Rebecca, to go beyond just videos, any content, right? It's basically a content generation platform at the moment. So as it currently stands, many, if not all, these large companies, including OpenAI and Google, are indemnifying people who are using their system to generate content. So what does that mean? So that means they're saying, you know what, we're going to protect you. You have full access and full rights to generate any content you want. And if there happens to be a lawsuit against you, we'll cover you. Now, the reason they're doing that is because they're still paving the way and understanding the implications of this. Now, sure, you've got the Hollywoods and the Actors Guild obviously going on strikes because they feel like their content is being used without their permission, or potentially their faces, if they're an actor, is going to be used. There's obviously those types of situations. So you can't, for example, ask OpenAI or some of the other tools, please generate a video of Hugh Jackman. It'll outright come and say, no, I'm not going to do that against my terms and conditions. But if you say, can you generate a video of a superhero with, I don't know, blades coming out of their hands for purpose of blah, 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 it most likely will be able to. Now, the person may have a look and feel of Hugh Jackman, right? But you can't explicitly ask it to, for example, create based on an actor, right? It goes against the policies. But it's really important for you to read the T's and C's. For example, every platform, OpenAI, Google, even Microsoft, and all the other systems, make it very clear that that the system hallucinates. It generates content that might be fictional and not might actually be accurate, but it also talks about sort of terms of use. So be very clear and read those to understand what the implications are. But as it stands now, if you abide by the terms of service and T's and C's, they do protect you. So if someone then comes and sues you because you've generated a piece of content, if you've met the terms of service, they'll support and protect you. They may not be around for a long time. Many countries and many organizations and many, I guess, government departments are going through the process of building sort of frameworks and principles, both mandatory and voluntary regulations and laws and frameworks. And in fact, Academy XI, we're part of the Tech Council of Australia. So we provide input into, in effect, CSIRO that then works with the Australian federal government to build laws and frameworks around the usage of, this technology. So government bodies are coming on board, which means it may change some of the T's and C's of those platforms. But as it stands now, unless it changes, and it probably changes every night, you do have level of protection. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer to your question, but it is a really fascinating space. There's no more questions. Probably one last question I'm going to ask you and we'll wrap it up. Oh, hang on. No, we've got another question. In terms of analyzing data, and that's from Paul, are you talking about your company's data or broader data from another source?
In terms of my experience, when I use specifically ChatGPT to analyze performance data, it is company data. So when I say I upload it, I make sure that there is no personal identifying information. So for example, removing columns that include names, emails, phone numbers, I remove them completely. You can replace those. Like sometimes what I've done in terms of products or services or customer types or things like that, I put in other things. So for example, like it's a code, right? So you can remove some products and services and you can call it apples, oranges, lemons. And then you know what that means when when ChatGPT reconfigures the data and gives you an outcome. So I often use it for customer data, but just ensuring that there's no personal identifying information.
Yeah. And again, as a reminder to you, if you get the paid version of, let's say, ChatGPT, but other systems as well, there are settings that you can turn off that stops it from training, using it as a training data for future versions of its model. Thank you, Jake, for dropping in.
The other thing, sorry to interrupt me, with the non-paid version, I know that you can just copy paste a CSV file. So you can just copy from the Excel spreadsheet and then just paste it straight in. And then ChatGPT knows, the configuration of a CSV, so it would read it. But again, the uploading a file is just far superior.
Yeah. And again, you can use prompts even for the free version. Like if you do a copy and paste of a table, then you might want to then explain, I've just given you a table, there's 5 columns, each column stands for blah, and please respond, or generate something. But you can also tell these models to then generate the output in a tabular format. Now, can you respond, put it in table, I want 4 columns by 3 rows, you can be as prescriptive as you want, and it does an amazing job.
I think that's the whole point. I mean, if you take nothing away from today, I think that's the point that you should take away, is that it only gives you what you put in and how, detailed the context that you give it. So I think that's so important. I think people don't realize how important it is, especially when they start to get the incorrect information or something is not delivered in the way that they want. It's all about giving it as much information as possible. Absolutely.
Right. Correct. The biggest reason these large language models hallucinate is lack of context and lack of specificity. So be as specific as you can, be as verbose as you can, and you get the best output. Look, we've got 1 minute to go. I was going to ask a final question, but I think we've covered quite a lot. Anything else you want to add, Leola, before I sort of wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Enjoy playing around with AI tools. Play around. Like, it doesn't even just have to be marketing. Like, I used it to give me a list of things I should pack for a camping trip. So, use it to play around. I've found so many different ways to use it in my personal life. So for example, eating habits, if you want to eat well, or if you want to reduce how much you eat, tell ChatGPT what you like to eat and then ask it to give you a menu based on those things. Like, there's just so many things that you can do. Try and use it in your day-to-day. Enjoy is what I think you should do, because there's just so many things that it can do. Thank you for having me, guys.
No, thank you. Thanks, Leola. Thanks everybody for taking time away from your lunchtime. As I said, Academy Excite, just please reach out to us if you're curious about some of the AI training that we've got, or if there's anything marketing related and emerging technology like AI. You've got Leola as well. But we'll let you go and have a lovely the rest of your day.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Leola. Take care.